Classic Game Room is brought to you by Ethel the Cyborg Ninja, Book 1, and Jesus the Coked Up Chicken #1, Special Edition, now on Amazon.
Back Classic Game Room on Patreon!
Banished from Earth Classic Game Room broadcasts from the intergalactic space arcade on its never-ending mission to review everything. This is Assault RIGS for the PlayStation, released in 1995 from the geniuses at Psygnosis, a game that's been sitting on my shelf for a while. I love the intro, which takes you from the birth of video games with Pong all the way through what I assume is a mockery of Doom, into this mid-90s virtual reality simulator. I looked at this game on my shelf the other day and I'm like, I like to blow things up with tanks. That sounds like fun. I've got a bunch of PlayStation games in the queue right now. And I read the back of the box, which starts with Assault RIGS is the cyberspace culture clash for trigger-happy net junkies. Anything that has the word net junkies is automatically good. A computer combat zone where corporate champions do battle for heaps of dirty cash. So basically, this game has predicted esports. Because that's exactly what you do. You blow things up in cyberspace with virtual tanks. And Assault RIGS is a surprisingly good game on the PlayStation. How could it not be good when the intro morphs into Tron? So think of this game like a combination of an old-school first-person shooter like Doom or Duke Nukem 3D and Twisted Metal with tanks, because that's exactly what it is. You're driving in a first-person shooter, battling enemy tanks, collecting gems, and unlocking or opening the escape. It's a tricky game, but one that plays surprisingly well more than 2 decades after its release on the PlayStation, where a lot of these first-person shooter-style games did not play terribly well. Or at least certainly not by today's standards. It takes a little while to get used to the controls, but they're actually pretty good for a game like this. You're not aiming up or down, which helps you move around with the D-pad, and then you can strafe with the L1 and R1 buttons on your PlayStation controllers. I'm actually playing this on the PlayStation 3, where you can see it looks and sounds really good. Or at least it looks and sounds really dated. I actually kind of like the music and the ridiculous announcer. That was a cool jump, thank you. This is my favorite tank in the game. There's a bunch of tanks to choose from. I always go with the heavily armored one since things shoot at you. There's more than 40 levels in the game, and once you get into it, you'll need to play them over and over again to memorize where everything is, which can be tricky at first since the environments all kind of look the same. This reminds me of building my own levels in Duke Nukem 3D back in college, where I would put the cheerleaders everywhere, and then we just shoot them down with rocket launchers. That was always good fun. Entering VR Zone! It sounds a lot like the R Zone, be careful. Now that we're all cyberspace net junkies and have access to the internet, you can easily find the passcodes for each of the levels. But this one's actually quite fun to just sit down, dig into, and play through, especially if you like these mid-90s 3D-ish action games. And Assault RIGS won't cost you very much. I imagine you can easily find this game somewhere less than $5. However, I have a classic game room shout out and thank you going to Vance from Waterloo, Iowa. Thank you for sending Assault RIGS to the show in cyberspace. There's a nice selection of weapons to pick up in each arena, like homing missiles and lasers and the minigun. This one is fun, Assault RIGS, which, according to the packaging, has light-sourced 3D graphics, jumps, elevators, trenches, movable blocks, a network 8-player option, and deadly weapon power-ups. Collect the gems that will take you to the next level. This game is more real than reality now. Classic Game Room is brought to you by Ethel the Cyborg Ninja, Book 1, and Jesus the Coked Up Chicken #1, Special Edition, now on Amazon. Welcome to the Lord Carnage Club, being shouted from within. A Turbo Volcano! Starting with Andy and Abby Schleiss. Jeff Breyer. Derek Langley. Michael and Ariana Nelson. Benjamin Woodring. Steven Chucknick. Al Stever. Ian Shore. You sure are awesome. Jason Goy. Sergio Matthias Hergert. Chip Sink Bale. Busy Signal. Sean Zoltek. Rick DeBarros. Philip Strabenmuller. Jack Stavris. Ohad Kane. And Tiago Pereira dos Santos Silva from Porto, Portugal. Tiago Pereira dos Santos Silva from Porto, Portugal.